Would you trust your partner or AI for a product recommendation?
Ooh, my partner is within earshot.
Hi, and welcome to Reality Checks with Brian Reitz. That's me. On Reality Checks, guests propose a survey topic to ask 1,000 Americans. YouGov runs the poll, and then guests try to predict the results. Today's guest, Brian Snyder, is the Chief Innovation Officer at Axicom, and he's here to talk about artificial intelligence. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Good to have another Brian here. We haven't had enough.
Absolutely. We need the Brian and Brian podcast. Let's get on that.
All right. Well, I'll let YouGov know this show's over, and we're going to start a new one. Why are we talking about artificial intelligence?
Why? Because it's the thing that everybody's talking about, right? And so many of us in marketing communications are talking about the inside out perspective and what AI is going to do for all of us and make our work that much better and easier. But a lot of times we're not thinking about how consumer behavior changes with AI and how people are using it differently. So I'm absolutely grateful that you gave us the opportunity to ask this survey of 1,000 Americans. And I can't wait to hear what they said.
Yeah, and I know that you're kind of focused. I mean, we're all focused on AI, but you especially seem to be really focused on helping brands with their AI strategies. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So, like I was saying, it's the inside out and the outside in perspective. So, the inside out about how we build agents and really take advantage of AI applications to be able to make our work smarter, faster, better, and cheaper. And then on the other side, about how are we recognizing how AI is changing consumer behavior and really helping brands adapt to that new world where people are using answer engines more than they're using search engines, whether you're using Google Gemini or ChatGPT, or even just that little AI answers overview at the top of the Google search results. People aren't going necessarily through their list of 10 blue links and checking them all out anymore. They're really accepting what the AI says as truth. At least that's what I think is happening. But that's why we're doing the survey.
What a transition. We didn't plan that. We can dig into the findings now. So just to reiterate, we collaborated on the survey. We worked together on the topic and the question wording. YouGov then took the survey to 1,000 Americans on its consumer research panel. YouGov analyzed the results. You, Brian, not me, Brian, have not seen these results, and you will be finding out at the same time as the audience.
I like that you're you, Brian, at YouGov.
Yeah, that's a little confusing. We might have to have pop-ups to clarify that I'm talking about me and not you, but you is not YouGov. Whew, I already have a headache. So let's go into the results, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. So first question, just to start things off, is what percentage of Americans do you think use artificial intelligence daily?
What do I actually think the answer is, or what do I think people said? Because I'm going to guess that probably around 1 in 5 Americans will say that they use AI daily. But I think that the actual number is going to be actually higher because I don't think most people realize that they're using AI when they're watching Netflix or when they're listening to Spotify or Google Maps or shopping on Amazon. All of these different platforms are using AI. But I'll bet that when people get asked the question, I'll bet that they are thinking themselves, how often am I using Gemini? How often am I using ChatGPT? And I'm going to guess that that's about 1 in 5.
1 in 5 is the guest. Guess, you're the guest. The guess is 1 in 5. And we actually had 9% of people say that they're using it daily. And I think the specific wording was for questions and decisions, which maybe people use AI for speech writing, podcast scripting.
Did you script this podcast with AI, Bri?
I did not. Although,
okay,
if it sounds like AI, it's probably because I'm using M dashes in my speech. All right. Next question is, where does AI rank in the product research process? And I know we had 7 options for those for this. So Google, like you mentioned, is one of them. Another one was Amazon. Another was TikTok, YouTube. So there's 7 options. Where does AI rank in that?
I'm going to guess that AI is, I was going to say third, but now I'm wondering if that's too high because I overestimated the first one. But my guess is that search engines are probably first, customer reviews are probably second, and then people are starting to use AI more in the product research process. So I'm going to guess it's going to be third.
Guess is third, and the answer is sixth.
Wow. You know,
Mostly
looking at
because
some of
they're
this stuff, okay, so family, friends, and colleagues, I would say would be number one for me. I think YouTube is shockingly underestimated by so many marketers as a place where people search for product research. But yeah, ChatGPT coming in at sixth.
yeah, and the way we got this ranking was we asked people to rank their order. So I think it was something like far and away Google was the number one. But we basically said like 50% of people did Google, so we weighted 50% on one, and then second was for Google like 20%, so 2 times 0.2. So basically it was the average. So for the most part, you have ChatGPT and TikTok lower on the ranking because so many people don't use them yet relative to Google.
But back to the first question, I'll bet that when people are using Google, they're probably looking at the AI overview a lot.
True. And also, if we weighted this by people who use these sources, it might change. But with the US Gen Pop, where you have my 90-plus-year-old grandma is not going to ChatGPT, although it could probably help.
I think that's going to be an interesting thing too, is to look at what the breakdown of the demographics are within the survey and see if there are differences between generations, for example.
Which we will be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we're going to publish something at a later point. So this is just a teaser of that. But next question is, what is the most frustrating part of using AI to help making buying decisions? And this is among people who use AI. So we got my grandma out of the picture for this one. Just people using it.
For people who use it. Okay, I'm going to guess based on my own experience. So an N of 1 over here. My biggest frustration is when the AI answer engines don't provide specific links or sources, because I don't want to just take AI's answer for it. I want to know where the information is coming from before I trust it.
Show your work.
Yeah, show your work. What do you think?
Well, I'm a little biased because I saw the answers.
Saw it already? Okay.
I saw it. I would not have guessed this right. It was people prefer doing their own research, which I thought was really interesting. It's similar.
The phrase "do your own research" has really changed in the last few years, hasn't
it? Maybe that's what people were saying, is that they're doing their own medical research. I think this one's interesting because like AI saves people time, but maybe they don't want time to be saved. The browsing process is exciting.
I love the doesn't know enough about me. And when you think about some of the things that Sam Altman was saying even this week at Sequoia Capital AI Ascent conference, was talking about how ChatGPT is going to get to know you better and better. And he even sees it as a future where you're going to have a core AI subscription that follows you around to all of your different services. So I think that we're going to quickly get to the point where maybe we'll be freaked out that AI knows too much about me.
Do you think that what you were talking about with showing the work, showing the links, do you think that would help people feel like they were doing their own research?
I think so, definitely. And I think it would definitely get after the 13% who feel that there is bias or even advertising underneath the covers. I think the more transparent that the engines are with this is where the information came from, that more people will be willing to trust it.
And then they'll have to worry about the AI following them everywhere.
That's right.
We have, I think, 3 more questions. I think I sent this to you originally, and the wording was trust a product recommendation. So we changed it a little bit. It's, are cat or dog owners more likely to distrust a product recommendation from AI?
Ooh, that's really interesting. Now that you've put it to distrust, I'm a dog dad, not a dog owner, but I'm a dog parent. I don't know. Is this one of those things where people become more like their pets? Because if so, cats just distrust everybody. So maybe it's going to be that cat owners are more likely to distrust a recommendation from AI. We'll see. I got a 50-50 shot here.
You nailed that one.
Oh, finally.
Yeah, I would say the trust was about equal, but you have more distrust among the cat owners. So if you're a Mars and you're doing pet foods and you're optimizing your AI strategy, maybe start with the dog food.
I love this. Yes, I will send that back to the Mars team.
Mars, I recently moved to Chicago, so they're here. So now I'm doing Chicago stuff and saying Chicago things. That's why they were top of mind.
You want to talk about Pope Leo while we're here?
We can. That might be a whole nother survey, though.
I think you might have to do a survey.
Would you trust your partner or AI for a product recommendation?
Ooh, my partner is within earshot as we record this, so I think it would be dicey for me to say AI. But that said, my partner and I have many different views on what we're looking for out of different products and things. So I think that it would be on me to say, is this something that we agree on? If so, I'll probably trust her over the AI. And that might be for like food and travel and that kind of stuff. But for something that's a little bit more just in my wheelhouse, like technology, I'm definitely going to AI first.
Do Americans think of AI like a search engine, a personal assistant? Do Americans think of AI like a search engine, a personal assistant, or a collaborator?
I think that today, because of the way that ChatGPT and Gemini and things work, is that most Americans think of AI more like a search engine or an answer engine, like we talked about earlier. But I think that's going to change. I think as these models continue to get smarter, they have more context about us, they know more about us. I do think that they'll rise to the level of being a personal assistant in our personal lives and a collaborator in our work lives.
Interesting. There's a good answer that anything we show, you can say, this is what I was talking about.
I'm trying to hedge here, Brian, because I've gotten so many of these wrong, you know?
Well, I think you got the topic right, so that's the big thing. How would you use it yourself in the current, there's now and then maybe future Brian?
Oh, I am using it definitely as a personal assistant in my personal life. I'm going to Dubai next week to keynote a conference, and I used OpenAI Deep Research to help me plan my entire week when I'm over there outside of the conference times. As a collaborator at work, I work with AI all day, every day. There isn't a piece of professional writing that I do that I'm not asking AI to check for me. But I'm also using it for collaborating on brainstorming and even developing full AI applications.
Well, there were a lot of things that you said in there that made me think I want to know how you do that, which I think is probably why you're keynoting a conference.
That might be. You're welcome to come.
Yeah, we'll let the YouGov team know I want to go to the Dubai conference, and then I'm sure we'll make it happen.
Yeah,
here are the answers, and I think this is basically what you said, which is pretty consistent across the board with search engine being number one. Anything jump out from here?
The gender split is interesting here, especially the wide gap on the personal assistant. I wonder what it is that's driving more so many more men than women to treat it like a personal assistant or a collaborator. It's really the search engine one where women are more prevalent than men. It's probably another layer of analysis to do in this. I'm so excited about getting all this data.
Yeah, we'll have more to share after the show ends. I think we'll have a link where people can dig into it, and I know that the Axicom team is going to be digging into it as well. Maybe you'll have some in your presentation.
I think I'm going to be using it for sure.
It's exciting. Final question. This is based off of a Sam Altman quote where he said that people saying please and thank you were costing OpenAI something like millions of dollars. How many Americans say please or thank you when interacting with AI?
Well, first of all, Brian, let's not forget that was only the first part of his quote. He said it's costing us $10 million and tens of millions of dollars, and it's money well spent because you just never know, right? So at work, a lot of my colleagues give me grief all the time because I'll be doing demos of AI stuff. And I always say, please and thank you to the AI. And they laugh and they're like, oh, Brian's so nice to the machines. And I'm like, remember, When the machines rise up, they're going to remember who was nice to them. So everybody be nice to them. But how many Americans always and often say please and thank you when interacting with AI? I'm going to think that because most Americans see AI as a search engine today, I'm going to guess it's not that many, because you wouldn't say thank you to Google. You wouldn't say please to Google. You would just be like, here's my list of keywords. So if you're thinking about AI from the perspective of it being a search engine, you probably wouldn't say please or thank you. But if you started to get that relationship with the AI where it's becoming your collaborator or your personal assistant, I think you'd probably be more likely to say please and thank you. So I think it'll be interesting to see what the correlation is between those. But I'm going to go with, okay, I'm going to go with a third of Americans say please or thank you when interacting with AI.
All right, that's a specific answer. I'm excited to dig in. Very thoughtful. I didn't think to cross the data by how people use it.
Mhm.
I'm sure we could see differences if you do it by search engine or personal assistant. Also think that I should start Googling Thai food near me, please, to hedge
Give
my
it a
bets.
try. Maybe you'll get, what if you get better results through that? We just never know.
Yeah, there's a whole new restaurant that I didn't even know about.
Okay,
All right.
everybody, if you're watching this, hit the comments. Let us know. Do you say please when you're just doing a Google search? And if so, do you get better results from it?
So you said a third. The
I
reality
said a
is
third.
about a third, 35%.
Wow. All right.
So
When I
nailed
get
it.
the
That's the big question.
when I get the always and the often, I've got to sit here and do the mental math.
Yeah, I was able to do the mental math in advance. What about men and women?
Ooh, I'm going to guess that women are going to be more likely to do it. I think it would also be interesting to see the split between text interactions and voice interactions. Um, how many people say please to their Alexa, or to Siri, versus writing it in a chatbot where you have to then thumb out another word. But I'm going to guess that women are more likely to do it, because I'm going to guess that women are more likely to say please and thank you in real life too.
I would say I don't have the data for that, but what you're showing here, what you said, is bearing results. So I
Hey,
would assume
look,
that's why.
I'm excited that so many people of both sexes are starting to warm up a little bit to their AI and being nice to it. I think this bodes well and gives me some faith in humanity.
Yeah, and I would say please start saying please and thank you to AI for all of us, for all of our sakes.
Absolutely. This was
Well,
fun, Bri. I really like these questions. I learned a lot today. Thank you for having me on.
yes, thank you so much for joining us, and please do. I'm trying to use thank you and please more, but I didn't have a request, so I didn't have anywhere to go with that. Thank you for joining us today. Anything else you want to mention about, Axicom, AI, your personal life, your dog, while you're here?
Axicom, we are the communications agency for tech brands and brands with a tech story. Provoke named us the agency of the future because of what we're doing with AI and innovation. So if you are a marketer watching this, and I'd imagine you might be because of who YouGov works with, if you see that and you're interested, drop me a line, hit me up on LinkedIn.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on Reality Checks today. All the data that you saw in today's episode was from a survey of 1,000 Americans on YouGov's consumer research panel. If you want to survey those same Americans, you can. Just head over to YouGov's website, yougov.com/realitychecks, and you can run your own survey. You can dig into the results from today's episode. There's a lot more that we didn't get to cover today for time, but you can kind of poke through, see who's saying thanks and please to ChatGPT, who's searching, what you want to know about AI. And it's all real people, no AI on the consumer research panel. So you'll really understand the realities of what Americans think. Thanks, bye.